Batman, issue 150, legacy number 915, Chip Zdarsky, writing with Jorge Jimenez and Dennis Cowan on the art. So, Matt, this is a
Yes.
bit of a milestone issue, so we have a longer page count, and there is still a backup, which is what because
Hmm.
it says tie-in to Absolute Power on the front. It's actually the backup that's the tie-in. The main story does not tie
Yeah.
into it in any way. Uh, honestly, not a bad main story.
No.
I thought this was pretty good. Mainly because it just didn't have anything to do with anything else that Zarsky's been
No.
doing with the
No
run.
failsafe. No Zerdar.
Nope.
Just you know.
Just an,
This. Good.
I was gonna say it's an interesting story that follows this crook who was being trained by Catwoman. So it does
Hmm.
reference the Catwoman war a
Yeah.
little bit,
Hmm.
but it's this idea that he's just down in his luck, and this is like where he is now. And the plot of the issue is that when he was searching the Wayne like brownstone back in that event, he discovered that Bruce Wayne is Batman, and he knows that, and he wants to sell that information to one of the big players in Gotham, and it
Hmm.
gets out that he knows, so everyone knows that he knows who Batman is. And it's basically just him trying to go to different villains and sell that information and what happens because of that. And also this idea that Batman knows that he knows, and what is Batman going to do? And he keeps showing up wherever this guy
I
goes.
I love how menacing Batman felt in this, and he wasn't doing anything. He was just kind of following him, and you'd see him from afar, but he felt like ever present. And so kudos to Zdarsky for that one. And I was gonna say it kind of reminded me of his. It was in not the Brave and the Bold, the other one, the Gotham
Urban
book,
Legends?
Urban Legends. That it was his Red Hood story where they were chasing down that drug, right?
Hmm.
And the kid was him. Zdarsky does street level really well, right? And this is what I expected from him coming to Batman. And instead, we've gotten these big, kind of more sci-fi driven stuff. So I was pleased to see him get back to the street level and it be something that I enjoyed reading.
I mean, for the record, I would enjoy the sci-fi if it was good sci-fi, but
No,
it's
no,
not.
I know, but like when I think Chip Zdarsky, I think more of like his Daredevil.
Yeah, no,
Right.
I get that he's better at street level. I'm agreeing with you,
Hmm.
but I'm just saying that
Yeah.
I'd be okay with a more science fiction
Yeah.
focused Batman run if I
Right.
actually like the science fiction of it. But I don't like his
Yes.
science fiction. I think it's messy.
And
I don't think it works.
and it helps too that the Dennis Cowan art is very of that street level kind, right? Because I associate Dennis Cowan with the Question. So seeing that it was kind of rougher and sketchier throughout really
Yeah,
lended into that whole tone.
what this kind of does is that it basically does that. You know that Batman animated series episode, Legends of
Hmm.
the Dark Knight, or whatever it's called,
Hmm.
where it's the kids telling the stories and different legends
Yep.
of Batman. Uh, or maybe even the episode of that show where it's the villains saying how they almost got
Almost,
him, right?
almost got him. That's my
Right?
favorite episode.
It's a little bit like that in the sense that there's a lot of characters talking about Batman in this issue. We see again,
Hmm.
you see him in the background. He's obviously keeping an eye on things, but it's more about the impact that Batman's aura has on the city and on this character, and how valuable this information of who he really is. And the bit that really reminded me of that is early on where he's telling the bartender that he's going to go and like
Hmm.
sell this information, and the guy's like, "Oh, don't be silly." Like I remember one night, he landed in the alleyway outside, and a couple of the thugs went out to try and like see who he was, and they go to lift up his mask, and he's like, "Oh, but when he got up, it was like a demon coming to life, and he stopped them." And like he
Hmm.
really sells the legend of Batman in this moment. And this was the moment in this issue where I think I like this issue so far, and
Yeah.
I'm confused because I've not liked Zarsky's issues in a long time, but it sets up that story, and it sets up that this guy has a troubled history with his wife and his son, where he's estranged. He's not seen his son in a long time. He didn't even know his son had moved out to college, and the wife's like, "Hey, he used to worship you, and like I'm still scared that he's going to like start imitating your life at some point. I don't want him to
Following
do
in your
that."
footsteps. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's this character who's kept making bad choices and kind of admits that, but we see him go to Two-Face,
Yep.
and Two-Face is like, "Oh, we already know who he is." And I'll also just mention on the art here, and I think this is a Jimenez page because it looks very different to the
Yep.
other stuff. Is that there's this break going down the page that goes past down Two-Face's like face, right, down the split, but it sort of arcs and goes sideways for the rest of the page. And it splits over where Batman's cowl meets his nose. Like, so this
Hmm.
again, so the idea that Batman's
The split.
separated by bottom and half as opposed to left and right.
Yeah.
Um, bottom and half. You know what I mean? Up, top and bottom.
Yeah. So because in the dialogue that he says, Two-Face says, time and time we again we fight, the two of us, the four of us.
Yes.
And I was like, oh man, I've never put that together before. That they, that there is almost four beings at odds there, right? You have Bruce and Batman, and then Harvey and Two-Face, and there's almost like this mutual, not respect, but there's this thing between them, and I like here how that split goes.
Yeah, and Two-Face is like, I already know who he is, and we can't have you ruining this dual identity. So he pulls out his gun, and the speech bubbles are definitely written as if it's Harvey saying, "No, we won't."
Yeah.
We won't kill him. Let's not do that. So it's like, okay, Two-Face was a bust, and Batman's watching from the rooftop above. Great little half-page panel that is.
Like a gargoyle, right? That's got to be so uncomfortable to sit like that. Like, Bruce is a man in his 40s, right? Like,
probably late 40s by this point. I mean, come on, given the age of everyone else. So his second stop is to go to the Iceberg Lounge and go to the Cobblepot kids, right? The
twins,
brother and sister, and he's like wanting to sell us information. They seem very receptive to it, and they're like, "Yeah, we do want to know." But someone that this goon that's there used to work with them as a henchman for someone else. He's like, "Hey,
for Firefly,
they're going to kill you. Like, once they've got the information, you could tell someone else, so they want to keep it to just them. So they're going to murder you. You have to get out of here right now." And of course, just as like this decision's being asked in his head, that's when there's an explosion, and we get some of these other characters coming in. These other like henchmen that have formed a team.
I kind of love this, right? Like they're all failed. Well, not failed. They're all henchmen that have branched off, but you could tell who they used to work for because they've nicked some of the gear.
Yeah,
there's their respective villains.
There's a guy with some Bane stuff on, not all of it, but he's got a little bit of Bane stuff. Yeah. There's a guy who worked for the Joker.
Scarecrow.
Yeah, and Scarecrow as well. Yeah, yeah. There's a whole hodgepodge of it. Because doesn't one of them say that his fear gas only makes people anxious? It doesn't actually.
Yeah, instead of afraid. Yeah. I'm sorry, but my fear toxin I took makes people a little bit anxious. Which is, again, these guys are kind of lovable losers, with the exception of the Joker guy, who feels like, he is kind of like Joker. You don't know what he's going. He's not like the rest of them, from what we can tell.
Yeah, the main guy's like, hey, but what if Batman kills me for knowing? And like one of the hench people, like I guess the woman is like, nah, like you don't really know him then. Like he's scary, but he doesn't kill people. And tells the story about Mr. Freeze and Batman like swooping down to save someone.
Save her. So she got knocked off of the building, right? And now she is following. Batman saves her. I was like, proves that he's not a killer. He's a nice guy monster. And I was like, oh, that is a perfect description of Batman.
Yeah, so this is a great thing where they're going on this heist and they take this guy along, like, oh yeah, we're going to rob this place. And they go into like, this bank or whatever it is, expecting to find their loot. And I actually love this. It's maybe my favorite panel in the whole issue, is they open the doors to this place and Batman's just standing in the middle of an empty room.
Yep.
And they're like, shit. What did we do? So, Batman takes them out and our main guy's just cowering in a corner somewhere. And Batman like towers over him, he gets knocked out, and when he wakes up, he's in his son's hotel dorm room. He wakes up and his son comes in and we have this confrontation where the son's mad at him. And he's like, yeah, of course I didn't tell you. Like, I used to idolize you, and I always took your side against mom. But as he's gotten older, he's realized like, who his dad is and how unreliable he is, and everything he's done with his life, and so on. And he's scared of becoming him, and it's a whole thing. But he's like, hey, how did you even afford to come here? Maybe you've got delusions of grandeur. And what we find out is that this guy, the son, did actually try and become a henchman. He went to work for Scarecrow, seemingly during the whole Fear City stuff.
Yeah, the Fear State.
Yeah, that's the name of it. Yeah, quite right. And Batman came in and beat everyone up because it's a Scarecrow villain situation. But he got scared. Like he got he got a bit of the fear gas in him, and he got really scared. And Batman, instead of beating him up, like reached out his hand and had a talk with him about who he is and why he is the way he is, and he says that Batman just listened to me. He just listened to what my problems were, and he offered to get me a scholarship. And obviously, this is Bruce Wayne paying for this,
right?
And he's like, yeah, but there's a catch, right? Like, what do I have to give you for giving me this opportunity to go to university? And Batman just said, be better. That's it. That's all you owe me is be better. And he has this realization about his father and about all that. And when the main character leaves the dorm room and he comes out and he's still thinking of that phrase, be better, he just sees Bruce Wayne, not Batman. This is notable. So it's broad daylight now. He's not Batman. But just like before, he's waiting outside for him. And he comes out and sees Bruce. And he just goes up to him and says, I've got to go, don't I? I shouldn't have said to anyone that I knew. Now everyone knows that I know, so they're all going to keep coming for me to find out. And he's like, yeah, look, I've set you up with an apartment in a different city in Metropolis, a new identity. Maybe someday you can come back, but you do have to probably go. Not for Batman's sake, but for his own sake. Because
his own sake and his family, right?
Yeah. So, and it's this idea that maybe, because I think there's a line earlier on where the wife says to him, you're 48, it's not too late to make a new start, to start again and be better. And this is this idea that this guy's going to leave the city and he's been offered this opportunity by Batman. Because I think part of this is also the idea of the nicer side of Batman, that he's not just a monster who's scary and beats people up, that he does try and make a difference where possible, and that he is forgiving, I suppose, in a sense.
On that thing where he tells the kid to be better, and you see all the stuff that Batman's doing, like he drops off a bag of cash to an unhoused woman.
Yeah.
Right. And he's comforting a kid by putting his cape around him like it's a coat. So it's all these little things that Batman's doing that's not just punching and kicking the villains.
Yeah. The cape thing with the kid's very Superman, actually, but it almost sticks out more because it's Batman. It's almost like it feels more harsh when Superman snaps and swears or something. Not that he does that often, but but if Superman says, he gets angry, right? Yeah. You never see Superman angry, so it really means something. But likewise, if you see Batman, who's always angry and brooding and dark, if you see him be sweet, it's actually more heartwarming than when Superman does it. It's when they're not doing the thing you normally associate them with doing. Yeah,
it means more, right? Because we're drawing attention to that. So that's that whole be better is that whole side, and then him coming to talk to, I think this guy's name is Teddy, where he's like, yeah, you goofed, right? Well, I'm not the type that I'm going to take vengeance, but if you're going to be better, then go. Here, let me help you like he helped his son. And this is the type of stuff that I like seeing Batman do.
Yeah, final page is the bus leaving Gotham with the bat signal in the sky, and just the last things that Bruce said to him, sort of in the narration, saying, enough time passes, you can go back, and when you do, Batman will be there to help. This idea that it's basically this guy started off with not only is he scared of Batman, he thinks Batman might kill him, and that he has this dangerous secret knowing who Batman is. But at the end, Batman, as Bruce Wayne, doesn't threaten him, doesn't say, hey, you better not tell anyone or I'll beat the shit out of you. He's there to say, hey, you're in a bit of trouble because you've told everyone you know this. So basically, I think if nothing else, he's earned the idea that this guy will never tell anyone now, because now this guy actually probably respects Batman and Bruce Wayne and understands them better.
There's a bond of trust there.
So... Chip Zdarsky's best issue of Batman. I said it.
Easy, yeah, by far. So
it's not even close. It's head and shoulders above everything else. Not to say there wasn't some fun action issues way back in the first arc that he did, but it's also mired and all the stuff that it built to and all the stuff that it's connected to. This is pretty standalone. Outside of the mentions of him being trained by Catwoman, it doesn't really connect to anything that much.
Yeah, but when you think about that in the big sense of it, right? Is that Catwoman was teaching them to be cat burglars, so they didn't have to go work for the Two-Faces and Jokers and stuff, right? It was teaching them to steal from the rich to prop themselves up. So she, by doing this, she also kind of had a hand in it.
You're saying she was a gateway drug to the good side.
Yes, because she made him reevaluate. So she woke him up, but it was, it took him messing up, right? Him falling back down. And, to tie it back into Nolan, right? Why did we fall? To pick ourselves back up. So,
Master Wayne.
And through Batman, that's what he does. So I guess you could say through Batman, all things are possible.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is backup tying in to Infinite Power. Or I keep saying that. Absolute Power, right? It's just ingrained in
Oh
my
my
head
God,
now.
you have IP on the brain, Pete.
Oh dear. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to sully my experience here by reading this back up.
You son of a.
I thought, you know what? I don't need this backup. I don't need this tie-in to Absolute Power.
One day I'm gonna come in and go, hey Pete, what did you read? And I'm gonna read nothing, and I'm just gonna sit here and have you tell me about comics for the week.
No one wants that, Matt. They want your opinions on things.
I think it would be funny. I think it would be funny.
It's just a backup. What are you talking about? I mean,
Yeah.
I had more books to read this week. This was already a bigger page count. Like I was good. I didn't need it. I didn't need it in my life. So, why sully? That's that good story. The first good Batman Chip Zdarsky issue in who knows how long with a fail-safe backup.
Well, it's not a fail-safe backup. It is a Batman backup, and essentially we bring up Joe Chill in the alleyway. And
oh, I'm so glad I didn't read this stuff.
And so he said the first thing that Bruce did when he came of age was he found out as a kid what type of gun killed his parents, and he bought the firearm company. And he tore that building brick by brick. But you know, they didn't pay because they profited because he bought the company. And he goes, so you know, how can I stop people from profiting like this? And essentially, you know, since he willed his own gun into the world, he feels that kind of responsibility now. And it brings up fail safe, right? And the Amazo robots. And so through this is Bruce trying to figure out what Waller's up to, and he goes to see Cyborg, and Cyborg's getting attacked on all sides, right, by Brainiac Queen and all the different firewalls. And you find out that Waller's using a mother box. They don't know how she got it, why she has it, but it's the Cyborg's getting traces of it off of Gamora, the island. And then as they're talking, the
not the Guardian of the Galaxy, I assume.
Yes, not Gamora. Yes, well, why is Gamora? But so Batman also realizes when the Wonder Woman Amazo pops in to fight that the word choice is weird, that it's talking like it's Victorian. And he tries to save Cyborg, but the Wonder Woman Amazo gets the better of them. And they end up getting away. But Bruce ends up talking with Flash, because now that their comms are down, Flash is acting as a go-between between the other heroes.
Okay.
And so talking to Diana, and he lets them know that he thinks that they found Waller's power source, even if it isn't, it's incredibly dangerous in her hands. They have Clark in what looks like the Fortress of Solitude with Mr. Terrific. And they agree that someone needs to go get that mother box from her. And Batman goes, well, that's great because I'm going to recruit a thief. So it kind of leads the way that he's going to get Wonder Woman wrapped up into this.
You mean Catwoman?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Catwoman. Sorry. Because I was going back about the Wonder Woman Amazo, that he seems to think that they're imprinting different heroes' personalities onto this. And that it's... what's that here? Is that Failsafe tells the Wonder Woman robot, which name is Paradise Lost, it says, now we're at war and ignoring orders ends lives. You're a Batman. You save lives. So I'm wondering if this is going in with that, you know, the whole Zur-En-Arrh plan of throwing these different Batman personalities into the different villains or whatnot that they were planning. Because I that's a weird thing, because I wasn't getting any of that from the main issue. Right, so I wonder if this is just a weird Zdarsky thing.
I know
that he's doing on the side.
It does sound like there's more important details in here than I would have assumed. Although I wonder how many of the things that seem important from what you just said will just come up in issue 2 anyway, so it wouldn't matter that I've not read it.
But yeah, just the main thing is that there's a mother box and that Batman's going to get Catwoman. It looks like he's going to ask her to go steal it for them.
Okay.
And that they're using Flash as communication. I thought it was pretty fun too. But yeah, nothing that big. I mean, Cyborg got taken at the end, so we'll see what comes from that. And I wonder if he'll be plugged in like John towards, we'll see any of that, but yeah.
All right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in that case, will you rate Batman?
I'm gonna give this a solid 8.
Yeah, it's weird to say it, but I'm also going to give it an 8 out of 10. It's a good issue. Maybe if we just not do any more failsafe or Zero and R stuff, maybe Zarsky will have a good few arcs in him.
Yeah, stick to that street level stuff. You're really good at it, man.